it, make it, do it. Makes us harder, better, faster, stronger.
That don't kill me, can only make us stronger.
One Friday night, I made myself go to bed early, slept all night with no children waking me up, and awoke at 7:30 in the morning feeling like a Disney princess. The sun filled my room with a bright glow, and I imagined that a bird could sit on my finger and we could sing a song to each other about the glory of the day. I felt so calm and pleased as I stretched in my bed until I heard the laughing and squeals coming from my son's bedroom. That is when my stomach dropped. Laughing and merriment at 7:30 in the morning might not be alarming in a typical household, but in my house, it can only mean one thing. My morning was turning to shit. Gray is my second child. He was born without incident on February 27th, 2006. He had a pretty regular babyhood until his first birthday party. He was very excited when everyone gathered around his high chair to sing to him, but when the smash cake arrived in front of him with that lit candle, he started getting very upset. After I helped him blow out the candle, he really didn't want to have anything to do with that cake. I took his hand and swiped it across the icing. My older daughter didn't need that cue on her first birthday, but I figured once it was on his hands, he would figure out how delicious it was and dig in. Boy, was I wrong. Really wrong. He frantically wiped his hand, trying to get the icing off of his fingers and onto the tray. And when I dipped my own finger in the cake and put a little piece in his mouth, he completely melted down. It was an uncomfortable scene for everyone there. As I scooped him up from the high chair and took him to the bathroom to get cleaned up, I felt a sense of dread. I knew that something was wrong. Really wrong. What followed were many months of therapy and doctor's appointments and tests. Why wasn't he progressing to eating solid foods? Why wasn't he imitating any words? Why did he love loud music and rough textures across his face and mouth? By the time we made it to the specialist's office, Gray was 19 months old, and I knew he had autism. Autism comes in many forms and levels of severity. Unfortunately, Gray's autism is on the severe side. Fortunately, I am a woman who is not daunted by challenge. My career as a physical therapist gave me lots of exposure to severe disabilities. Gray is now 9 years old, and I have learned a tremendous amount about autism, and my family has learned to adapt to the strange ways that it affects our lives. My daughters, who are 11 and 5, don't think it's strange at all when he chews on shoes, or screams in public, or tries to run naked out of the house. My husband and I have issued thousands of apologies to innocent bystanders who have had their French fries stolen in a restaurant, or watched in surprise as a strange child rifles through their purse for snacks. I can keep it together and maintain my composure in a variety of situations. But on that fateful Saturday morning, I leapt out of bed and made my way to his side of the house. By the time I was 10 feet from his room, I knew by the cartoon-like waves of stink seeping out from behind his door that there was a poop-tastrophe on the other side. I stopped for a beat and tried to summon my calmest and most stoic demeanor. The behavioral therapist had instructed me to give no reaction when Gray misbehaves because he might see it as funny reinforcement. So I bravely opened the door to witness a scene that I can only liken to a bloody murder scene, except with poop. Gray was standing in the middle of the room with a wild look in his eyes. He was naked and his body was covered in poop. It was in his hair, it streaked his face, and ran all the way down his body like a tribal war paint. It seemed that no corner of his room had been spared by his ghastly artwork. It was on the walls and the doorknobs to his closet. The floor was covered in poopy little footprints. The sheets on the bed were thoroughly smeared, and each layer of blankets and pillows had at least one horrible streak. The blinds were painted on both the front and back side, as though he had taken care to leave no inch uncovered. The toy box and the chair that sits next to his window were not spared, as they had been used as step stools to help his poopy little body reach unreachable heights. It was truly amazing how much poop that small body had produced. I am a lot like the characters in the movie Sunshine Cleaning, who start a business cleaning up bloody crime scenes. The first time I encountered a scene like this, I recoiled in horror. I stood in the middle of Gray's room, dumbfounded by the idea of how I would even begin to clean up a mess like that. My best idea was to just light a match and burn the house down. By the second, third, and fourth times, I had come up with a reasonable system. I have a master's degree, and I'm using it to be a poop scrubber. I channeled the cleaner from Pulp Fiction and gave Gray my best expressionless face. I closed the door, locked him in, and ran for towels, trash bags, Clorox wipes, and spray, and a mop. As I move, I sounded the alarm. "We have poop! Man your stations!" I returned to the room, wrapped his writhing, giggling body in a large bath towel, and carried him to the shower, where my husband was waiting, suppressing his gag reflex. With Gray sequestered in the shower, I started removing items from Gray's room to be hosed off outside. Anything that I could carry out went on the front lawn, because that is the closest to Gray's room, and the hose waits there on standby. After opening the windows and putting the fan on high for ventilation, I went to work in the putrid wind tunnel. I took the chair and its cushions and the blinds off the windows, 3 of them, and the toy box and a very unfortunate soccer ball out the front door. I laid them on the lawn and returned inside to strip Gray's bed. Because there were no blinds on the windows of his room, I could look out onto the street as I pulled the sheets and blankets off of the bed. I paused for a moment. Why were there so many cars on our usually quiet street? Why were people strolling on the sidewalk, approaching neighbors' houses? And then I remembered, it was the day of the neighborhood garage sale. Suddenly, I had an image of some unsuspecting buyers walking up to my house and happening upon Gray's blinds and furniture on the front lawn. They would cross the driveway to take a closer look, catch a whiff of the stench wafting out of my house, and then they would realize all of these garage sale items are covered in poop. I dropped the bedding and bounded out of the house in my pajamas to grab a hose and spray everything off as quickly as possible. Then I tried to arrange the items as close to my house as possible so that no one would think that I was selling them. I went inside and began the next phase of scrubbing the walls, the doorknobs, the bed frame. I mopped the floor, working backwards as I made my way out of the room. Finally, I stripped, showered, scrubbed my arms up to the elbows, and threw on my yoga clothes. I will admit that mornings like these can take me to a pretty dark place. I can't help but wonder what life has in store for a child like Gray. I can't help but worry about the days when he will be too big to wrap in a towel and carry to the shower. But I don't let myself dwell on those thoughts. That's what I hire professionals for. Moms like me often have to push through in situations that other people could not even imagine. My job is to keep the family on track and return to normalcy as quickly as possible. That is the key to sanity. By 8:45, I had coffee and cinnamon rolls ready for the family. My girls wrinkled their noses as they walked by Gray's room, but they remained unfazed as they sat at the table for breakfast. I even made it to yoga by 9:15 because I have learned that I can handle any shit the world throws my way.